Hey, welcome back to the Dare to Share Challenge. I'm so excited to have you with us, and we have another guest waiting in the wings, ready to take to the stage and dare to share. If you're new here and you're thinking, dare to share what? Well, this is the question. I never know what any of the guests or the speakers are going to share with us, but I do ask that they make it stretchy. What is this all about? Why are we doing this? Because the Dare to Share Challenge was born from a place of darkness. It was born from a place of me personally losing myself in the online space and amongst all of the noise and feeling like I couldn't share my truth. So now, with the Real and the Raw Leadership Movement and the Dare to Share Challenge, leaders come and they dare to share their own truth, their own stories, their own vulnerability, so that you see the human behind the perception, so that you realize these people that you look up to, everyone that inspires you, they're not so different from you after all. And that must mean one thing, right? If they can do it, so can you. So with that being said, let's welcome our guest. We have on Adrienne Alloway. Hello, Adrienne. I'm so excited to have you with us. Now, before we start, I always like to ask everyone who's on here, what made you say yes to this challenge? Because this is a very unique situation. It's not like some fluffy podcast. We're not here kind of pitching things. This is where we get deep, we get dark, we get vulnerable. What made you say, yeah, you know what? I'm up for that.
Yeah, so a couple things. One of my goals for myself and for my business over the next couple years is to be more visible, is to speak more, is to use my voice and share my story more. And so I thought this was a great opportunity to do that. And also, I'll be headlining on the Raw and Real Leaders next event, so I'm excited to do that as well.
Oh my gosh, you are. You are. And we will plug that at the end. So stick around and make sure you get all of those details. So, Adrienne, before we dive into the big questions, we just need to get a little bit of a gauge post from you as to where you're going to take us, which level of vulnerability you're going to opt for. Now, we have two options. We have the stretchy level, which is it's your hero's journey, right? It's your story. It's your own personal trials and tribulations, the things that you've overcome. You've come out the other side. You have the lessons and they are inspiring and they're powerful to share. Or we have the extreme level. And this is something that you're navigating, you're going through, you're growing through right now in real time. You might not be out the other side yet, you might not have the answers or the lessons yet, but it's real and it's raw right now. Just for you guys watching, there's no get out clause. Both are, extreme levels of vulnerability. We just need a sense of direction. So, Adrienne, where do you want to take us today?
Yeah, so I'm going to talk today about something that I have not talked about before, really, and it's something that's I'm still kind of working through this year. So, yeah.
Perfect. So we're going extreme. We love an extreme. We love an extreme. Okay. So are you ready to dive in?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay. So we have two on the surface, very simple questions, but it's down to the guests and the speakers to really unravel this and give us more than they would normally give. So, question number one is what does being a real and a raw leader mean to you? And we're not just talking about in business, right? We're talking about the human, the individual, the person that lives an everyday life behind the scenes. That realness and that rawness, how does that look and feel to you in your everyday life?
Yeah, and I think this really comes back to authenticity, which is what I'll be talking about today. And it's something I've been navigating this year. And really, I think that when you bring your most authentic self and you bring all of the pieces and parts of you together, that's what people are looking for. People don't just want someone to say, "Oh yeah, I have all the answers and I know everything." Like people are looking for, maybe I don't have all the answers, but let's figure it out together. Or I haven't gone through that. I'm not sure how to help you, but maybe I can find someone that does. And so bringing that humility and that authenticity, I think, is really important to leadership and to being someone that is showing up authentically and is just really being someone that other people want to follow. And I think so often today we're seeing online and in different spaces, just people are only showing the thing that they think other people want. I don't think it's hitting the mark.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And can I ask you a little bit more? So, in your everyday life, how does that can you give us an example of how that might transpire for you?
Yeah, I think in kind of in the day to day, It's just being there with people and meeting them where they're at,
Mm.
and not kind of expecting them to, show up differently than they are, and you not showing up differently than you are. So just coming at it from a very, place of authenticity, and being willing to grow.
Yeah, like it's okay to be where you are now, and that is still an amazing place to be. I love that. Okay, so Adrienne, we are going to go into the big question. Now, for you guys watching, as I said earlier, I never know what any of the guests are going to share with us, but I do always ask that they stretch their level of vulnerability. So they go deeper, they go places that maybe they haven't ever been before. So, Adrienne, what are you willing to dare to share with us all today?
Yeah, so today I want to share because I'm going through some changes in my life and my business right now. It's happening in real time, and so I want to give you a front row seat to that, and kind of talk about how this concept of authenticity has showed up in my life this year. So if you have known me online for the past year, you're like, oh, Adrienne is a life coach, and Adrienne's a holistic life coach, and I really feel like I need to apologize to all of my followers because that is only a piece of it. And there is this whole other side that I have not been bringing to my business and to my life. So I am about to kind of relaunch that online and start sharing. So this is the first time I'm talking about it, really. I have about 20 years of experience fixing problems for big companies, building systems, working in technology, doing all of this stuff. And, and I was talking to someone the other day, and I said, well, how is this valuable? And they're like, a lot of coaches, they don't have all of that systems knowledge and experience, and working with Fortune 100 companies, Fortune 500 companies. Like I've lived in other countries working on the ground, helping these companies implement better systems and processes and scale up their businesses. And I was not bringing that to my coaching practice. So that has been a big thing for me of how can I bring all of these pieces together to serve my audience. And so that's part of it. I've been on this like very long spiritual journey the past couple of years, and I swung really far into the life coaching side, and just kind of like threw all my tech experience out the window and just said, well, we're done with that. Yeah, and so now I'm bringing it back together, and I'm saying, how can I bring both sides? How can I bring this holistic piece, right? This side that's a little more spiritual, that's a little more like focused on helping folks prevent burnout. How can I bring that alongside all of this deep, deep expertise in systems and processes, so that I can serve clients better? But that's only part of it, right? That's part of the journey. The other part is, and this is something I haven't talked about really online at all. Most people think I'm straight, and I'm not. I'm definitely queer, very queer. A lot of my people close to me in my life are queer, or some form of not cis straight people. So, and I have always kind of passed as like a straight white woman, and I'm about to break that down. So we're going to start to be a lot more visible as a queer leader, and I think that that is really important because part of why I have a business, like I could just go work in a big company and just stay there. Like I have that option. I don't have to run a business, but I do this because I think I have valuable experience to help people, and I want there to be more faces and more people online that look like minorities. I
Mm.
think we see a few types of faces online, um, and it's been really challenging to figure out like where I fit into that, because it's very easy to kind of just, I've had business coaches even tell me, well, why don't you just serve women? Just be like a coach for women. And I'm like, well, I'm not a woman. So that has never really fit. And I've been working through that this year because I've gotten all this advice. You just need to serve women. And I'm like, that doesn't feel right. Why doesn't it feel right? And so I'm still like working through the tail end of this of, okay, like, what does it look like and what does it feel like to show up as my whole self online, bringing all of my expertise, bringing my full identity, and really being that face of like a queer leader that other people, maybe other queer people that want to start a business, that want to get out there, can look to and say, okay, there's someone who's doing it. Maybe not perfectly, but there's someone that's doing it. And so that is that's been some of what I've been working through this year, and still trying to figure out, like, what does queer fashion look like for someone in business? Like, there's not a lot of that, right? So there's not like you see all these people and they all look a certain way. Well, what does it look like to show up as me? And so I'm still working through it a little bit.
Oh my gosh, can I just, before we do anything, give you a massive round of applause, because I think what you're doing is so brave, it's so courageous, and it's so needed. And I don't normally go into too much stuff on the Dead Share Challenge, but I just feel like I want to really tell you that I see you, and I think this is amazing what you're doing and what you're bringing. And I am just so honored that you've dared to share this with us all today, and also that you're going to be speaking on the Legends stage. And now I'm even more excited to have you, and wondering what that's going to look like, because that's a little way away from now, right? So you're going to be in a whole new level of ownership of what that version of Adrienne is.
Yes.
At that point. So that is very exciting. Adrienne, I feel like I could probably talk to you further, so we're going to have to do a whole separate podcast. But I want to ask you one thing about all of this. And with the stepping into this new self-identity and real ownership of who you are, and not maybe what others perceive you to be or want you to be or tell you to be, what is or has been the most challenging aspect for you so far?
Yeah, I think one of the bigger things there's two things. So one has been, I have struggled to really use my voice and share my truth in my life, and that goes back to some really deep childhood stuff. And I feel like that has been I've had this pressure, I feel like, to just show up like everybody else, just do what everyone else is doing. It's working, just be like them. And so I'm really like, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to go, and you're going to be on your own path. And so that has been a big challenge. And then the other, I think, a little more practical thing is just how do you style yourself as a professional who doesn't fit kind of like the gender norms? And so that is something that I'm still working through. A haircut is coming. That'll be a thing in the next couple weeks. So the next time I'm on camera, I'll look a bit different. But
Yes.
so yeah, those are kind of the two things I think that have been the biggest challenges.
I fully get that. And I think for you guys watching and listening, this can be in regards to anything, right? Like when you're trying to step out of the norm and the box of what society kind of make you feel that you should be or that you need to conform to, when you start to break out of that and go against the grain, and this can be an identity, this can be in business, this can be in relationships, in life, it can be in so many different things, you're going to feel resistance and you're going to feel discomfort. But just know that on the other side of that is going to be liberation, is going to be freedom, it's going to be empowerment beyond anything that you've ever felt before. And I know I've certainly experienced that. I know you are about to experience that, Adrienne. When I feel like you're just on the precipice of this next month or so, you're going to be fully into it. And this is just going to be so amazing to watch. And you guys watching, make sure you go and get an Adrienne as well, because now that you know this, you can watch in real time how she leads herself through this transition in her own season of growth, and how she comes out the other side. And I think that's the power of the Dare to Share challenge, right? We get to see real time leadership. So I am so excited for this. Adrienne, thank you so much for sharing such a truly vulnerable and powerful share with us. Can you please tell everyone where they can come and get into your world?
Yeah. So I'm on Instagram. I am Adrienne Alloway is my handle. You can also find me on YouTube under the same name. And I have a Spotify podcast called 9 to 5 Rebel, which is for anyone who is a business owner or an aspiring business owner. We'll be breaking down business systems, automation, work-life balance, and just all kinds of fun life topics. So
amazing. Adrienne, thank you so much for joining me today. For you guys watching, if you enjoy this podcast, if this resonates with you, if it impacts you in any way, please let us know in the comments. Please give it a like, a subscribe, a share, all of the good things, and help us grow this channel so that more people realize they're not alone. Everything is possible, and the more of us that share those realities, the more you realize that you can do it too. So with that being said, thank you for joining us today. Thank you again, Adrienne, and I will see you all for the next Dare to Share challenge soon. Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye.